This video is for the delulus, the delusional girls who try to become the main character of their own story, who want to live in a daydream of romance, dream about really perfect men who are written by women. Hello everyone, it's Beef. Welcome to my channel. Delulus, romantics, singles. Happy February. It is finally love month. What are your plans for Valentine's? I don't have any plans other than reading a heck ton of romance books to feel the love, to feel cherished romantically. I know I've not read every romance book in the world, so I can't say that these are the best romances ever. Duh. I will say they are one of the best that I have read so far. I know there's a lot more for me to explore. I haven't even crossed the threshold of being a certified romance reader, but I feel like I'm getting there. Like, I feel like I'm on that journey. I'm going through that little magic carpet ride with the
grumpy men and brooding
male characters and sunshine leads. So I'm not gonna have anything super intellectually stimulating on here. Not really. These books were recommended to me by Book Talk, most of all, and also BookTube. So they are not new to the reading community. You have probably already heard about these books 100 different times. This video is for those who are really not into Book Talk, not into BookTube, who just wants to read something romantic and knows nothing, nothing, nada, zero. We're talking stories that are close to impossible. There is a 0.1% they can happen in real life. It is close to impossible that men like these exist in real life, because these are written by women, and unless women suddenly is granted by the universe the power to mold a man, we are not there yet. I'm gonna give the tropes present, because I know with romance books, we love our tropes. We love to know what tropes the book will be about, because that is how we can gauge if we like a book or not. Because there are some tropes that we're not really into, and other tropes that we like more than others. So I'm gonna give you the tropes for each book, just so you know if you will like it. Because right off the bat, if somebody tells me it's a so-and-so trope and I don't really like it, I will not touch that book, probably at all. Not unless something really, really good convinces me. The first book I will recommend, you've probably already heard about this from 200 different people, but that is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. So tropes we have here, of course, the infamous enemies to lovers trope, where we have Henry, the Prince of England, and Alex, the first son of the United States of America, hate each other. They hate each other, and then there's this big event that kind of blows them out of proportion. They get into a fight, and both countries are like, you guys have to pretend to be friends so that our country's relations will not implode on each other. So they're forced to kind of show the world that they're actually friends, but they end up kind of fancying each other, and I'll leave it to your imagination what happens next. Duh. One of the most distinct things I can say about this is it is so funny. There are a lot of political aspects of the book, mostly because it's, again, about the first son of the United States and the Prince of England. There are a lot of political arcs within the story, but it's so impossible and so funny that you really need that kind of suspension of disbelief when you read it. But while you're reading it, it's just those types of books that you know in your heart your soul needs. I remember reading this book and I was like, where was this all my life? Why have I never read this before? It's that type of book. It's so funny. I laugh out loud so much. All of my tabs are just me laughing. This one is another enemies to lovers, and I know I keep saying that I'm not into enemies to lovers, but this is just very contradicting to all of my statements, because I have a lot of enemies to lovers in my stack. But I do choose the enemies to lovers stories that I read because I really don't like bullying, and I don't like people poking at each other's insecurities. I don't like that. So I choose the enemies to lovers stories that I wanna kind of get into. And this one, I really love this because this is an academic rivals to lovers sub-trope of the enemies to lovers genre. So that is today. Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. And this, again, was recommended to me by the beautiful, beautiful Julia Delgado, who is here also on YouTube. So please check out her channel up there. So the other thing that kind of caught me by surprise about this is it's a high school romance. And I'm really not into high school romances anymore. I can get into a few college ones, not gonna lie, especially if it's a sports romance. But high school, I think I'm already too far off for. But I was pleasantly surprised by this one because it was really well written and the characters are really within your grasp. And it just feels really nostalgic reading it. This one is about Rowan Roth and Neil McNair, who have been academic rivals for as long as they can remember. And on the last day of their senior year, of course, graduation, they are vying for valedictorian. One of them gets it. Like, I don't want to spoil who gets it. It's at the back of the book, so I'm not gonna spoil it. So Neil gets valedictorian. Of course, Rowan is really, really put off and is heartbroken and all that. But they participate in this little seniors game that was arranged by the juniors, and it's just one final hurrah for the seniors in high school who are moving on to college. Since they're both really competitive, they don't want anybody else to win the game but the two of them. So they ended up teaming up with each other and having this whole adventure around Seattle. And one of the beautiful things about the book is it's very centered on Seattle, like it's very setting centered. And I really love books like that because you can imagine and it paints a beautiful picture for you of the scenes of, like, even if you've never been there, you feel like you're traveling there. She paints such a beautiful picture of Seattle and the love story of Rowan and Neil surrounding that place. So everything feels so nostalgic even if you've never been there. It's sort of like a farewell also and a coming of age story for Rowan and Neil. And yeah, I love this book. Okay, next She Drives Me Crazy by Kelly Quinlan. Oh my god, I really, really, really loved this book last year in 2021. This is a sapphic novel about a basketball player named Scotty and a cheerleader named Irene who gets involved into a kind of fake dating situation. It's also enemies to lovers. So here are the tropes: enemies to lovers and fake dating. Fake dating is one of my all-time favorite tropes ever. Okay, basically we follow Scotty, who has recently gotten her heart broken. Her ex-girlfriend broke up with her in a really bad way, but then she gets into like a pickle with the school lead cheerleader, Irene. Scotty was forced to bring Irene to school every day, and they kind of got into a fake dating situation because Irene, I think, needs money for some cheerleading camp or I don't know, something for cheerleading. And Scotty was like, okay, I can give you money, but you have to pretend to date me to get back, like for me to get back at my ex, and at the same time kind of get traction for our women's basketball team. Because since Irene is like the it girl and the head cheerleader, she is really popular, and her dating Scotty will be really good, like good PR for the women's basketball team of their high school. So this book was really funny, really like intense pining, and it's just really simple plot. Really, again, this is another high school romance that I did not expect to love. Okay, next I have the physical copy of the next book, and that is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, one of the most popular books on Book Talk and on BookTube. And this was published already 2018, so it's not very, very new anymore. But this one, I really love this book because I learned a lot about Asperger syndrome, or people within the autistic spectrum, because I'm not really I don't have any family members, I don't have any friends who are within the autistic spectrum, so it really taught me a lot about that condition. And I know a lot of people, I saw a lot of feedback about how it isn't really accurate for some people, because our main girl Stella, I haven't even told you what the book is about, but our main girl Stella has Asperger syndrome, or is within the autistic spectrum, and her parents are kind of pressuring her into already getting married and settling down, or at least finding a boyfriend. And she has had a few dates in the past, but never a serious relationship, because she feels like she doesn't know how to date. She also feels like she's not really good in bed, and there's something wrong with her, and there's something she needs to improve. And since she's also really married to her job. She really has no social cues. I think it also comes with her condition. What she does is she hires an escort named Michael to kind of teach her the ways of sex, and not just sex, but eventually she was like, okay, I need you to teach me how to have a boyfriend or how to be a proper girlfriend. And they also got into a fake dating situation, which I think is another reason why I love this book so much. I remember not rating it very high at first. I rated it a 3.5 because in terms of writing, it isn't very spectacular. Not that it's bad, but it's just really, really simplistic writing. And I remember reading this at the start of my 2021 book journey. Like I started with like Six of Crows, and I read like a Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I started with books with really spectacular writing and plot twists that I kind of sort of compared this to the others, which was really unfair for me to do because this was not exactly like that. There was no room for comparison at all because this is a romance and it's a romantic comedy, and it should be treated as one. Very lighthearted. I bumped it up to 4 stars after a few months because I kept rereading it over and over again. I just really love the dynamic of Michael and Stella and how Michael is such an attentive man written by a woman, and Stella is just so powerful and so driven and really, really inspiring. So I bumped it to a 4-star read. It's now one of my comfort reads. Like when I need like that kick, this is it. Also, this has a lot of smut, just saying. So the first time I read it, I haven't read a romance in a while. So this is one of the first romances I read, and I was really taken aback by the amount of smut. It was kind of intense because I was also reading it in like public places at work, and then I would just get surprised by the amount of smut, and I'm like, okay, Helen Huang, I see you. I really loved it though. Like I really did. This is one of the best books I read in 2021. Okay, speaking of smutty books, the next one. Actually, most of the romance books these days do contain sexual scenes. So just a word of caution. I think everything that I will recommend do contain smut or steamy scenes. So just a trigger warning to people who do not like steamy scenes. But speaking again of steamy scenes, the next book I think is the steamiest out of all that I will recommend. This one takes the cake in terms of steam because Christina and Lauren really went there. They went all the way, and I loved every second of it, and that is Sweet Filthy Boy by, again, Christina Lauren. What trope is this? It's not a friends to lovers. It's a one-night stand trope. It is about a girl named Mia who just graduated college and is celebrating in Vegas with her friends. They're like in a fancy hotel. She's out to celebrate in preparation for entering her master's degree, and then she meets this really delicious French man named Ansel, and they hit it right off. They dance the night away. They end up in the same hotel room and they sleep together. And the next day, she jumps on a plane with him to France to live with him for the summer. What do you know? These books are really so impossible. This is probably one of the most impossible. Like, you're telling me she had money to live in France for the summer? Are you serious? This is Paris. Like, he was living in Paris. He was a lawyer. He offered to pay for a lot of the stuff that she needed in Paris, but she was the type of girl who was like, no, I don't want to live off your money. Like, you don't have to do that. I can do it. I'm an independent woman. And the whole time I was just like, girl, if he's offering, I mean, I wouldn't get on a plane to Paris if the guy didn't say, I'm gonna pay for your stuff. Like, I wouldn't. I don't have a single penny in my purse for Paris. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, since we're suspending dubious amounts of disbelief here, she goes to Paris and they kind of... What? Oh, I just remembered a really, really important fact about this book that I almost mentioned, but good thing I didn't because it would be a spoiler. But yeah, something happened that I can't say. But they were in Paris, and then I think what really hooked me with this book is it really showed like the complications of kind of being impulsive with a relationship, because they suddenly started finding out things about each other that of course they never knew because they've only known each other for like 2 nights. Like the journey of their relationship, the ups and downs, like him with his job, her finding out that it was a really stupid idea to fly to Paris with a stranger. It was just nice because it tackled the mundane events of a relationship in a really, really impossible situation. Like, the situation was absurdly impossible, but the mundane events that were tackled and the conflicts that they went through together as a couple were kind of like, I would say, realistic. It tackled sexual preferences, or like sexual preferences in terms of like what they like when they have sex. I remember they had a discussion about their I was about to say the spoiler. But they tackled things about each other that were like, okay, this is how we compromise as a couple. How are we gonna do this? You know, it can't be black and white. I love stories about compromise. I love seeing stories or reading about stories that tackle real life problems of couples. Like, even the smallest things, like things you don't like about sex when you have it with each other, or like, I don't like these types of dates. How to handle your partner if he does things that you don't like but he needs. So those are the really nice details I got from this book. A word of caution though, this was written in 2014, so some of the terms are kind of still politically incorrect. Like, I think Christina Lauren's books are more like, the writing is more apt to the times right now, more politically and socially sensitive. But in 2014, were just like a couple of red flags within the book that were like, this is unacceptable in 2022. But, you know, like, just keep in mind that it was written in 2014. So if you see any like toxic red flag, like minute stuff, like, it's up to you if you want to put it down or need to put it down, because I totally understand. Next one is again by Christina Lauren. I have two books in, is it just two? Okay, yeah. I have two books here that are by Christina Lauren. They are going places. They are writing like a bajillion books and people are eating it up, and I get it because I have two books here that are written by them. And this one is just one of my favorite books in 2021. I don't know, something about this just is everything to me. And that is the famous enemies to lovers book, The Unhoneymooners. And this one is probably in every TikTok and every booktube video you ever watched ever about romance or enemies to lovers. This one is about a girl named Olive who has a twin named Amy. Amy is about to get married to Guy. Guy has a brother named Ethan. And Olive hates Ethan's guts. Like, she hates him because he's this very brooding, rude man. In the wedding of their siblings, everybody got food poisoning. And Amy was like, oh, we have a honeymoon package that we can't use, so you, Olive, have to use it because it's so expensive and it can't be refunded or whatever. So the other person in the wedding who was not food poisoned was, guess what? Ethan. So Olive and Ethan basically are enemies who have to go on a honeymoon trip with each other. What I really loved about this book is the family aspect, which is so strange for me to love about a romance book, but I really did love the family aspect because Amy and Olive's family, I think they're Hispanic. I'm not sure. They're really close to their families, and when the big conflicts came, the roles of their family was really strong. Like, it was really, really important for the both of them. The relationship between Amy and Olive it's one of my favorite parts and aspects of the book. I sound like the romance isn't a big deal, but it is a big deal. I really love Ethan. I really love Olive and Ethan's like dynamic with each other, the banter. Of course, it's enemies to lovers, so the banter is always good. But I'm also really into characters who are going through the process of finding themselves. I don't know, I'm in that situation where I really get hooked with characters who are like trying to find a place in the world, like who are going through rough times with their career or their education, or like, I don't know, I'm into that. And Olive is in a situation where she was not happy with her job, or I think she was let go in her job and she didn't know if she wanted to be in the same field, and I just really resonated with Olive a lot. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, this is the grumpy sunshine trope. That is one of my favorite tropes of all time. So I have two favorite romance tropes. It's the fake dating and the grumpy sunshine trope. So this has the grumpy sunshine trope. Oh my gosh, this next book I just finished yesterday and I absolutely love this book. And like a big part of me is like, why do you love this as much as you do? Objectively speaking, it's not phenomenal, I can say, maybe, I don't know, but it just was, it hit so many spots and made me like giggle. And since this is a super like oh my god, this is not for the faint of heart. Like, disclaimer right off the bat, trigger warning. This is not for the faint of heart because this is intense slow burn. And I know, like, sometimes I can be impatient. So I know a lot of people are impatient. So I will not recommend this to the impatient people who are really into like insta love types. I get you though. Like, I'm also really into insta love, but this was so well executed that it's so good. It's called The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. I kept seeing this on Book Talk. Everybody was talking about this. I really am into sports romances, so I was really intrigued by this one. The Wall of Winnipeg and Me is about a girl named Vanessa, who is a personal assistant of a really famous, like, MVP football player. She does everything for him, like washes his clothes, makes his food, arranges his schedule. She knows everything about this dude. She's been working for him for 2 years, and one day she decided to quit her job because she wanted to start her own like graphic design brand because she is a graphic designer. And for the past 2 years, she's just been saving up to form her own brand and also to pay off her student loans. One day when she was like, okay, I think I can stand on my own 2 feet now. I want to really, really work on my brand, because she's been only working on her designs at night since she works full-time as his personal assistant in the morning. His name is Aiden, by the way, Aiden Graves. So she tells him that, hey, I want to quit. And he's like, okay, sure, tell my manager. And the thing you should know about Aiden is he is the type of man, the typical grumpy, no feelings, stoic, emotionally constipated man, super focused on his career and his sport. His first love is football. It will always be football. And when Vanessa quits, he really doesn't show any signs of like alarm, like he wasn't worried, like he didn't try to stop her from leaving. So Vanessa was kind of hurt because she worked for him for 2 years and he didn't even show signs of like, oh no, please don't leave me or whatever. And then a month after she quits, Aiden comes knocking back in her door and is like, please come back, I need you, and drops this super big, like, explosive thing on her that I cannot tell you because it'll be a spoiler. This does have the fake dating trope. It's also the grumpy sunshine trope, which I guess is already the reason why I love this one so much. I will say though, like, the feeling of reading this book is like reading a fan fiction from Tumblr back in like 2015, which is not a bad thing. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't want anybody to be turned off because it's like a lot of people sometimes are like, oh, it reads like a Wattpad story, that means it's not good. Wrong. There's so many good Wattpad stories and Tumblr stories and AO3 stories out there that I don't want anybody belittling original work or fan fiction. Nobody can do that here. But it really has that level of cliche, like that intense cliche that like will make your eyes roll. But at the same time, it exceeded my expectations because just when I thought I had it figured out, because I thought, okay, this is a typical cliche book, I know what's gonna happen, it surprises me, which really, like, it caught me by pleasant surprise so much that I was like, okay, Mariana Zapata, I see you. This is my first Mariana Zapata book, so I think she's really well known for the slow burn, and I am jumping on the Mariana Zapata train. I think I will read more of her work because she really does slow burn so well, and it's so rewarding when you get to the end and, like, everything is okay and everything is good, and it's just like, Okay, last 2 books. And this one I also read recently, second to the last book, and I really, really, really love this so much. This one also has a bit of, like, a lot of steamy scenes. Not as much as Sweet Filthy Boy, but this one had really good steamy scenes. And that is It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This one has the grumpy sunshine trope. And what I really loved about this is it's really adult romance. Like, there's none of that miscommunication, none of that petty, like, I don't know, really childish plots, but it really reads like a rom-com. Like, it reminds me of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, 13 Going on 30, that movie with Anna Faris and Chris Evans. I forgot the name. Don't get me wrong, those aren't the plots, but the feel of the movies is what I felt reading this book. And here we follow Piper Bellinger, who is a super elite fashionista it girl from LA, blonde bombshell, who is living off of her stepfather's credit card, dating like A-list celebrities, and getting her heart broken because she is known to be just being pretty. Like, she doesn't really do anything. She doesn't have a job, which I found super impossible because, like, in the book, it said that she had like 2 million likes on her posts and she had so many followers. She's basically like an influencer. So for the book to say that she didn't have means of income was so impossible, because for you to have that big of a following and not get paid for anything was super impossible, which I think is just one of the things I found like, that's kind of strange. That's super impossible in this day and age. But I overlooked that once again. Basically, she doesn't make her own money. She always parties. Like, that's the only thing she's good at, being pretty and going to parties. Verbatim. I didn't make that up. That's literally what it said in the book. And one day, she just goes to this disaster of a party. She ends up in jail, which angers her stepfather a lot. She ends up being shipped away to Westport, I think that's in Alaska, to this fishing village where her real father lived. Her stepdad was like, okay, you need to start living on your own. You're 28. You don't have means of income. You don't know how to work. You don't know how to fend for yourself. So I'm shipping you off to this fishing village, and you have to basically get a job and you have to live on your own. So Piper and her sister Hannah moved to Westport, and there she meets Brendan, this captain of this crab fishing ship that fishes for crabs. And what I really did not know about crab fishing is it's apparently the most dangerous job in the United States. I never knew this. Like, for somebody who is from an archipelago, I did not know about crab fishing. And I think it's because we don't really have crab fishing here in the Philippines. It's done more in like colder waters, so more of the Atlantic Ocean and all that. I was so intrigued with the whole crab fishing business and how it's like one of the most dangerous, or if not the most dangerous job in America. I love Piper as a character, as a main heroine of the story. She is just amazing. She's everything I want to be in my life. She is bold, she is daring, she is out there, she's an extrovert, and she's everything I want to be in life. I really resonated with her. Also, Brendan is, again, written by a woman. He is literally, like, there is no man that can exist like Brendan. He is the most attentive, caring man. And what, again, like, I mentioned that this is really an adult romance because there's none of the miscommunication. Brendan and Piper are adults through and through. Like, they talk to each other about their feelings. Like, there's none of that, like, guessing when it comes to, like, if I like you, if I don't like you. They were really like, okay, I like you. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Like, I love that. And last but not the least, oh my gosh, this book. Sorry, should I not have screamed at the mic? Oops. This is my favorite book of 2021. I think I can say with my whole chest. I have come to terms with my feelings with this book. It is really the romance book of my dreams. Hit the right spots. Everybody knows about this book already. It's so simple. Like, it's so simple, but so good. Like, it hit me a different way. I don't know what it is about it. Well, I kind of know what it is about it, but it's just, I don't, like, it has a drug and I am addicted, and I have read it already 5 times. And that is, are we surprised? The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I gave this a 4.75 stars. But before I tell you why I didn't give it a 5 stars, I'll tell you why I love it first, because that's why you're here. This book has the grumpy sunshine and fake dating trope. Again, 2 of my ultimate favorite tropes when it comes to romance. And it follows Adam and Olive. Again, we have Olive, who are both scientists. So Adam is a PhD professor. Olive is just doing her PhD. Like, she's a PhD candidate. They get into this fake dating situation because Olive's best friend, An, kind of falls in love with one of the guys Olive has dated in the past. But An, being a very, very good best friend, is like, no, I'm not gonna date anybody you dated. Like, girl code, I will not do that to you. But to Olive, it's so obvious that An and Jeremy are like soulmates and meant for each other, so she doesn't want to be the reason they don't end up together. So the only way An will believe that there is nothing going on between Olive and Jeremy anymore is if Olive dates another person. One day when she told An that she was going on a date, An didn't believe her and followed her to her like supposed date. And of course, when Olive finds out that An followed her, she kisses the first person she sees in the hallway, and that is the PhD professor, Adam. Adam is this super hotshot young professor. I think he's about like 30, 34, I think. And Olive is 26. And I really like that age gap, not gonna lie. And everybody hates this guy. Like, he is the most handsome man on earth, as he should be, because he is the hero in a romance novel. But everybody hates him because he's just notorious for failing people and being really rude about people's thesis. He's just, like, he's a terror prof. Nobody wants to come across him anywhere. Him being the grumpy guy and Olive being the biggest sunshine on earth was just a treat for me. Like, this is the type of stuff that really I will inhale multiple times, like 100 different times. When Olive kisses Adam, he kind of goes with it. The next day they see An, and Adam is just there like pretending to be Olive's boyfriend, and Olive is really shocked because he's really going with it. Like, the dude did not report her for harassment or anything. She finds out that Adam also kind of needs someone to pretend to be his girlfriend because Stanford, the school they're at, is going to freeze his research funds because they think he's leaving Stanford. So to prove that Adam is not leaving Stanford, he has to have a reason to like stay other than his job. And since he's super hotshot, people feel like the faculty feels like he can just get up and leave and go to like a different prominent school. Olive becomes his reason to stay, and they end up in a fake dating situation, and everything is just delicious and fun and impossible, but so fun. Like, it's so fun. I think a good romance book has to be fun. Like, that is the main source of serotonin. If there's no fun in it, it's not a good romance for me. And the reason I had not given it a 5 stars, or I'm still not giving it a 5 stars, is the ending. There was just something about the ending that left us hanging. I mean, she closed it. Like, there's nothing else to say, but it ended so abruptly that I wanted more. Like, there is a missing chapter. Like, I'm pretty sure in Ali Hazelwood's drafts, there is something there that she did not include or was not included in the final cut, and I want it. I need it. If she does not release it, I will not give that 5 stars. I'm so sorry, Ali. You have to release the drafts. I'm just begging. This is just me. This video is me begging for Ali Hazelwood to release the drafts because it is what we deserve. Ali, it is what we deserve. If you are listening to me right now, please. Okay, we're done. Delulus, this is it. Those are all of my recommendations. I hope you're having a great month. I hope February will be good for all of us. Thank you so much for swimming by my channel. Good afternoon, good night, and good morning. Bye. Mwah.